Children sometimes offer very interesting perspective on dating and marriage. In response to this question, how do you decide who to marry? One child suggested this gem. No one really decides before they grow up who they're going to marry. God decides it all the way before, and you get to find out later who you're stuck with. To the question, how can a stranger tell if two people are married? Derek, age 8, offered this suggestion. You might have to guess based on whether they seem to be yelling at the same kids. And for our purposes here, I end with Martin, age 10, who gave this answer to the question, what do most people do on a date? He said, on the first date, they just tell each other lies, and that usually gets them interested enough to go for a second date. I mean, of course, at the beginning of a relationship, right, we tend to put our best foot forward, right? Though I've never been on a dating app, of course. I'll bet it's safe to say that people's profile pictures and self-descriptions, well, they're only going to put their best foot forward, could even be stretched just a tad. Well, we tend to do that in general, actually, don't we? You know, job interviews, joining a new group, meeting coworkers, future in-laws. We want to put our best foot forward. So how stunning then, really, that our scriptures include today's story, which was another example of us not putting our best foot forward as followers of Jesus. Now, Jesus' closest band of followers were hiding in fear. Now, remember, this is after Simon and one of the other disciples had seen the empty tomb with their own eyes, and Mary Magdalene had met the risen Jesus in the garden, and Jesus told her, go tell the disciples that I'm alive, and she did. And then at the request of Jesus, she said, and Jesus told me to tell you this. Yet here they are, hiding in fear. Ostensibly, Thomas had even given up and wasn't there because he just left. It's just one more example of how the scripture writers, they didn't try to make it look all pretty, but they present the followers of Jesus, warts and all. This little group was so often in need of being straightened out, told they were missing the point, saying they're sorry, learning a new way to think and see, and forgetting that, and then having to say they're sorry again. It's important that we run into their flaws and failures so often because we're no different, really. And the only way to an authentic, meaning-filled life and to a true relationship with God is to know that, to admit it, to be honest and real with God and each other, warts and wounds and weaknesses all. Everybody has their stuff. We are each broken in some ways. We are. And it is important that you and I just admit that, really. We are all weak. We each sometimes get lonely or frightened. We each have hopes and dreams. We each fail, hurt people. We love and search for meaning. We bleed, we laugh, we worry. And unfortunately, most of us have not learned well the truth that it's okay to not be okay. Well, it is. It's okay to not be okay. And we are no less important or lovable to God because we're sometimes broken. And unless we're willing to admit to ourselves our weaknesses and our wounds, unless we are willing to let at least some people see that part of us, who we really are, how do we ever learn to do that with God? And there is something of life, of love, of God that we will never know except that we learn to be more real and honest about it all. This is called Divine Mercy Sunday. And the Eucharist, this is a meal for sinners. This is not a reward for the righteous. This is for people who are aware and honest enough to know that we don't have it all together, right? Here's a sentence I wish you could cling to when you're not feeling so great about yourself and maybe your relationship with God. You don't have enough power to make God stop loving you. Even though that sentence has a double negative, I'm going to repeat it because it's just that important. You don't have enough power to make God stop loving you. Each of us, even right now, we're all messed up on some level. We are. And it's okay. It's the truth. And Sunday Mass has got to be a place where we can bring ourselves as we are. Whatever doubts, pain, joy, struggle, bring it honestly. And every weekend Mass, I look out, and at some point, there's at least someone crying. And I'm glad. I'm glad that people know that they can be real here, to bring themselves just like they are. And of course, that will sometimes stir tears, of course. For over 2,000 years, wounded people who are truly beautiful, broken children of God have gathered around the altar. Sinful people, scared people, people with broken hearts, people each with something to offer who, at the same time, are slowly learning that they can't do it themselves. And I believe that as we grow, we understand more and more that coming to Mass is less something we have to do or should do, but it's more something we need. We need to do it. We need a place where we can be who we really are and loved as we truly are. So, when you're brokenhearted, come to this table. When life is unfair and you're angry or confused, bring that all with you to Jesus, who understands. When you are excited or grateful, come thank God with us. If you're frightened, come to Eucharist. Don't try to do it all yourself. Let your church family be with you. And then together we take all of who we are and what's inside us to God and lay it on that altar We place ourselves on the altar with one another. And Jesus takes us and all we are and makes us one with him and one with each other. This is such truly good news, that this is for people who don't have it all together. And we're in that together. We don't have to do it alone. The question is, like those early disciples, are you honest enough about your wounds and weaknesses, warts and all, to be a follower of Jesus?